Now to campaign 2020 and more on President Donald Trump stating a false conspiracy theory yesterday that presumptive Democratic vice presidential nominee Kamala Harris doesn't meet the requirements to run for office. CBS This Morning co-host Anthony Mason asked the president's son-in-law and senior advisor Jared Kushner about Harris's eligibility.
Does the Trump campaign accept that Kamala Harris is a qualified candidate?
He just said that he had no idea whether that's right or wrong. I don't see that as promoting it. But look, at the end of the day, it's something that's out there. Again,
that's not what I'm asking. Do you accept that she's a qualified candidate?
I personally have no reason to believe she's not. But again, my focus for the last 24 hours has been on the historic peace deal that we've been able to achieve here.
She was born in Oakland, California.
Yeah.
Makes her a qualified candidate. Why didn't the president take the opportunity to debunk that theory?
I have not had a chance to discuss this with him, but again, let his words speak for himself.
Yeah.
And joining me now from Washington, D.C. is Margaret Brennan, moderator of Face the Nation. Margaret, thanks for being with us. Now, we just heard from Jared Kushner, who will be your guest this Sunday. What does the president hope to gain from sharing a false story like that about Kamala Harris?
Well, we should point out he was asked the question by a reporter from Voice of America. So that's where the idea got injected into sort of a mainstream newsroom. The president then responds to it, and as my colleague Anthony Mason pointed out, did not use the opportunity to set the record straight when it comes to U.S. law. Now, these kind of conspiracies come up often. John McCain, if you remember, was accused of perhaps not being a legitimate candidate because he was born on a U.S. military base in Panama. Barack Obama was accused by the now president of not actually being an American-born citizen and faking his birth certificate. There are theories that seem to get circulated for a number of different reasons, whether they're racist or whether they're just another reason to try to kick up some dirt into a really messy, nasty political cycle to try to discredit someone. But as the president himself pointed out in those remarks, the Democratic Party clearly vetted her before Kamala Harris got to this point because she was a presidential candidate herself. So it gets you and I talking about this, and that's perhaps why it's injected into the national conversation.
So let's focus then instead on Kamala Harris. What's the significance of Joe Biden picking Senator Harris as his running mate?
Well, she is a barrier breaker, of course. She's the first woman of color on a major party ticket. But she also, in some ways, the vice president hopes will add some excitement to his ticket. He is a Democratic centrist. For those who had been looking for someone a little left of that, she brings her more progressive agenda in some ways, although she will have to fall in line with his. She also is young versus his age, which would make him someone who is the oldest candidate to be sworn into office should he win the election. So she adds that to his ticket, but the most politically important thing at this moment is, of course, trying to widen the edge over Donald Trump. Currently, CBS has a 10-point lead in our latest poll, and we will find out Sunday from our Anthony Salvanto if naming Kamala Harris adds to that.
And many Americans expected to be voting by mail this year because of the pandemic. The postmaster, though, has warned this week that the USPS is experiencing some difficulties. Let's talk about that impact on this mail-in voting.
It's huge. It's a really important story, and we will be talking about election security this Sunday on a variety of levels. But on this particular one today, we know that the Postal Service has sent letters to at least a dozen states warning them they can't process ballots in time for November 3rd. That means you and I will be working quite a lot in November because it's not going to be just election day. It'll be likely election week. The whole period of time may need to be extended in many states, because the Postal Service, which already had financial difficulty, is even more strapped during this pandemic. So to be able to process the volume, they say they need more money. And right now, Congress is not negotiating at all. Democrats want more money than the White House is willing to offer. And then the president comes out and says contradictory things about what he is willing to do, and then questions mail-in voting, period. But in the state of Florida, we should say the president and the first lady have requested mail-in ballots. So they will be voting that way themselves.
Yeah, mail-in ballot is something that is allowed here in Florida. You don't need a reason to not be at the polling place. You can just request one and it will be sent to you. Margaret Brennan, thank you so much for being with us this evening. Of course, you can join Margaret for Face the Nation Sunday at 10:30, only right here on CBS 4. But we invite you to get up even earlier than that for Facing South Florida with Jim DeFede Sunday morning at 8:30. A nurse at Jackson Memorial Hospital takes you inside the fight against the coronavirus like you've never seen before. That's only right here on CBS 4.